Hello, child of God. The generation that I was born into saw the creation of the State of Israel in one day, May the 14th, 1948. This was a prophetic fulfillment concerning Israel, but also a prophetic fulfillment concerning my generation. My generation has been alerted to these prophecies since May the 14th, 1948. This is why so many Christians all over the world are intensely following the events as Obama visits Israel. We are very opinionated, as you know. This video is set up just as you see in the book of Revelation. Almighty God is revealing spiritual powers at work in the heavenly realm, political powers at work in the earthly realm, and angelic and demonic powers at war in the earthly spiritual realm. Almighty God is an eternally existent God. He exists in all places at all times simultaneously. As I post this video, He exists in the time of Adam, Moses, David. He can see Jesus on the cross eternally because He eternally exists there at the cross. He saw Israel become a nation in one day and told His prophets to foretell it roughly 3,000 years before it occurred. Why does He do it? Because Almighty God alone can do it. This is like His signature. In making this video, I have to jump from political to spiritual realms often.
A comment about the weather and friendly hugs setting the tone for the visit.
It's a beautiful day.
One that is largely about improving what has been a sometimes fractious relationship. And in his first public remarks, President Obama made a pointed reference to the Jewish right to the land that predates the formation of the Israeli state.
I know that in stepping foot on this land, I walk with you on the historic homeland of the Jewish people.
No mention of the Palestinian issue. That was left to Prime Minister Netanyahu.
In an unstable and uncertain Middle East, the need for our alliance is greater than ever. It's the key to thwarting dangers to advancing peace. It's the key to achieve a stable and secure peace that the people of Israel yearn for all our neighbors and with all our hearts. We seek a peace with our Palestinian neighbors.
The formalities over, President Obama removes his jacket and the Prime Minister follows suit, throwing into even sharper focus the matching blue ties. But in the days ahead, differences between the two may still emerge. The dispute over settlement building that marked Obama's first term continues to simmer. And when he crosses into occupied territory, this is what President Obama may see. Thousands of new homes still being built for Jewish settlers, despite repeated U.S. protest and Palestinian complaint.
Read with me the message of the 4 carpenters sent to destroy the dividers of Israel. Then I looked up, and there before me were 4 horns. I asked the angel who was speaking to me, "What are these?" He answered me, "These are the horns that scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem." Then the Lord showed me 4 craftsmen. I asked, "What are these coming to do?" He answered, "These are the horns that scattered Judah, so that no one could raise their head. But the craftsmen have come to terrify them and throw down these horns of the nations who lifted up their horns against the land of Judah to scatter its people."
I mean, the big issue is obviously Palestinian state on 1967 lines with land swaps. Okay, let's see where the parties stand on that issue.
Now let's try to identify the characters in Zechariah's vision. After Zechariah hears the words that he is to proclaim, he sees a vision of 4 horns. He then asks the angel with the red horse, "What are these horns?" And the angel with the red horse explains that these are the 4 horns that are against Judah and are trying to use their horns to scatter its people. Then Zechariah saw a vision of 4 craftsmen. The angel with the red horse answered, "The craftsmen have come to terrify and to throw down these horns of the nations who lifted up their horns against the land of Judah to scatter its people." Well, everything seemed to be easy up to this point. The question becomes, who or what is a carpenter, and what in the world are they going to do to us? Dave Brenner in his books pointed out that every action any president in the United States takes to divide or harm Israel causes a national disaster in the USA. This seems to also apply to the EU, to Russia. Sometimes it even affects the entire world, like the worldwide financial depression. Terrify and throw down these horns of the nations who lifted up their horns against the land of Judah to scatter its people? I just want to make it very clear that Almighty God, sovereign of this universe, has sent some spiritual powers to destroy the USA, Russia, the EU, and the UN. If you're not terrified, you should be.
4 أرطال من الأنثراكس، 4 أرطال، جنطة هالكبرها، يشيلها واحد فدائي ويدخلها من أنفاق مكسيكو إلى الولايات المتحدة، كفيلة بقتل 330,000 أمريكي في ساعة واحدة إذا أتقن نثرها على الوعاء السكاني هناك. مرعبة الفكرة. يعني 11 سبتمبر تطلع زلاطة عند الموضوع هذا، صح ولا لا؟ وما في داعي طيارات وشكبانات ومواعيد وقصة من المؤامرات والتوقيتات. واحد عنده من البسالة اللي يدخل معاه 4 أرطال من الأنثراكس ويدخل حديقة البيت الأبيض، صح ولا لا؟ ويكت عليهم النون هذا، صح ولا لا؟ ويبب عقبها، تصير المسألة طماشة هناك. WMD مشكلة. خايفين الأمريكان إنه WMD يطيح بإيد تنظيمات بين قوسين إرهابية مثل القاعدة أو غيرها. وهناك ما يدعو لتخوف الأمريكان، لأن القاعدة عندها في منطقة هيرات سابقا فعلا لابوراتوريز في شمال أفغانستان، عندهم علماء، عندهم كيمستس، وعندهم ناس متخصصين بالنيوكليير فيزيكس. يعني هم مو مثل ما يصورهم بعض الصحفيين المعلبين عندنا بأنهم ناس يعني بدو متخلفين وقاعدين في كهوف. لا 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 لا, لا, لا. هذا حكي ينطلي على الناس الغشمة، لكن الناس المتابعين يدرك بأن القاعدة عندها لابوراتوريز وعندها مثل حزب الله. حزب الله عنده لابوراتوريز في جنوب لبنان أصبحت تنتج السلاح وتبيع السلاح. حزب الله عنده لابوراتوريز في جنوب لبنان أصبحت تبيع على رومانيا وهنغاريا انتوا بس يقولون إرهابي قول هذا رفيجنا. ليش؟ لأن هذول الإرهابيين بين قوسين أتقى ناس في العالم وأشرف ناس في العالم وأحسن ناس في العالم. كيف؟
Thank you. Chuck Todd from NBC.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister. Mr. President, I want to follow up a little bit on the peace process. You began your term, your first term, big fanfare, the Cairo speech to talk to the Muslim world, the decision to have a Middle East envoy early. You said you weren't going to let this slip to your second term. We're in your second term with the Mideast peace process. What went wrong? Why are we further away from a two-state solution? I know you said you want to talk more about this tomorrow, but I am curious to, what do you believe went wrong? Did you push Israel too hard? What do you wish you would have done differently?
Every word of President Barack Obama's Jerusalem speech was meant to send a message of support to Israel, from Syria to Iran, promises of partnership.
Israel has the unshakable support of the most powerful country in the world.
For 2 days, that has been his consistent message, with symbolic visits and more than a few lighthearted moments.
The robot for some salt.
The peace process had not been his main focus until he got in front of students. Here he called on the Israeli people to demand their government make peace, saying it is the only way Israel can remain a democratic and a Jewish state, for the first time describing in detail life for the Palestinians living under an illegal occupation.
It's not just when settler violence against Palestinians goes unpunished. It's not right to prevent Palestinians from farming their lands or restricting a student's ability to move around the West Bank or displace Palestinian families from their homes. Neither occupation nor expulsion is the answer.
He seemed less passionate about the cause when actually in Ramallah, visiting the Palestinian president. President Obama once demanded an end to settlements. Rebuked, he changed his position to say settlements should be part of the final negotiations, a position he reiterated here.
The core issue right now is how do we get a sovereignty for the Palestinian people and how do we assure security for the Israeli people? And that's the essence of this negotiation. And that's not to say settlements are not important. It is to say that if we solve those two problems, the settlement problem will be solved.
A view emphatically rejected by Mahmoud Abbas.
It's not only our perception that settlements are illegal, but it's a global perspective. Everybody considers settlements more than just a hurdle to the two-state solution.
Just one of the many hurdles described in detail by the U.S. president, who urged the crowd to want peace without describing how he might help them get it. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Jerusalem.
We need to stop the stagnation and stalemate and need to relaunch negotiation. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be quite complicated, but I believe that this is the right thing to do.
But her boss is yet to accept the US vision of two states existing side by side, with the 1967 lines of disengagement being the start point of discussion about borders.
In any language, he must say these four numbers, 1967. Without saying these numbers, without saying that he accepts two states 1967, what's the point? What's the point?
When he crosses a 1967 line into occupied territory, this is what President Obama may see. Thousands of new homes built for Jewish settlers during his first term in office, in the face of repeated US protests and Palestinian complaint. President Obama says he's just here to talk, but behind the smiles and the handshakes, the visits to symbolic sites, is a barren reality forged through decades of futile peacemaking. There can be no progress unless these facts on the ground, the concrete expression of Israeli occupation, are the focus of any US involvement in negotiation. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, East Jerusalem.
Well, child of God, many Americans believe that Almighty God is always on their side. We arrogantly think that because we are a Christian nation, any evil that comes upon us is from the devil himself. Our nation is deeply rooted in a swamp of sin, as if the entire nation has been turned over to a reprobate mind, nationally promoting and financing unknown millions of abortions worldwide. We are the largest exporter of pornography in the entire world. Our nation promotes homosexual marriages. Our nation gives billions to the Muslim leaders whom are our enemies and are the enemies of Israel. When you really look at our nation and the Ten Commandments side by side, we can easily see Sodom and Gomorrah. As Christians, we are to hate the sin and love the sinner. But even speaking against abortion or homosexual sin is considered a hate crime. But let me tell you, child of God, God will not be mocked. We will reap what we sow. I do not shudder in disbelief that Almighty God would send a craftsman to terrorize our nation. I am just totally amazed and grateful that He has shown us so much mercy for so long. Let's take a look at the warnings. Look at the day we were attacked, 9/11/2001. The next day, the U.S. declared a war on terrorism. Our stock market was closed until Monday, 9/17, which corresponds to the 29th of Elul, 5761 on the Hebrew calendar. The stock market crashed that day over 700 points, the largest one-day drop in the history of the stock market. This is the exact day of the exact year of the Hebrew Shemitah, the day that all debts are canceled, which happens once every 7 years on the 29th of Elul. October 7, 2001, the USA responds to the 9/11 attack by attacking one of the terrorist nations, Afghanistan, only to become bogged down in a war with the same nation that sucked the finances from the Soviet Union for years. We entered into a war with Iraq on March the 20th, 2003, and it lasted until December the 15th, 2011, but we're still paying for that war. Then exactly 7 Hebrew years to exact day of 29th of Elul, which was 9/29/2008, the stock market crashed again. This time it was 777.77 points. Again, the largest one-day drop in history. This is the exact day of the exact year of the Hebrew Shemitah, the day that all debts are canceled, which happens once every 7 years on the 29th of Elul. The next Shemitah corresponds to the 13th of September 2015 in the Georgian calendar, which is the 29th of Elul 5775. I personally believe that if our economy will last until the 13th of September 2015, the US dollar will totally collapse on that day. Never mind storing up gold. The government will again confiscate all the gold to buy oil. Silver coins and canned goods may be the only money useful to common man.